Darkness is not just the absence of light, my dear viewer. Sometimes it's a pact etched into your very skin. For centuries, humans have adorned themselves with tattoos, ink whispering tales of rebellion, love, pain, and pride. But what if the ink itself told a story? A story you never intended to tell. Perhaps tonight, we shall unravel one such tale. Meet Dorian Weaver, a man who wore his tattoos like armor. Each crafted line, every intricate detail, was a testament to his defiance against the mundane. A dragon coiled around his forearm, wings flared, teeth bared, as if daring the world to challenge him. Runic symbols danced down his back, a cryptic language he neither spoke nor understood. And centered on his chest, well, that was the prize of his collection. A grim, grinning skull with hollow, accursed eyes that seemed alive. But Dorian didn't just stumble into these choices, no. His ink masterpieces were brought to life by the elusive artist known only as Mayron, a name carried like ghost whispers among tattoo aficionados. Her setups held more than needles and ink. Candles flickered, strange symbols adorned the walls, and a smell, not unpleasant but unplaceable, hung in the air. Some murmured that Mayron's tattoos came alive, but Dorian had laughed it off. Until now. Our story unfolds the moment Dorian returned home, fresh from Mayron's studio, his newest addition, a raven, perched menacingly on his neck. The details were extraordinary. Every feather shimmered, as if stitched from midnight itself. The raven's eyes, one could swear they glistened. It began innocently. A quirk here, a movement there. Dorian would catch fleeting glimpses in the mirror. He thought he saw the raven twitch. No, this was absurd. His mind playing tricks, surely. But then, the shadows started, slithering. The dragon on his forearm writhed in the moonlight. The runes on his back felt searing hot, branded anew, as though breaking into song. And the skull on his chest? Its grin deepened. Those hollow eyes began to stare back, filled with something very much alive. And the raven. The raven. It didn't just move. It turned its head, once towards the mirror, once towards him. And it spoke, not in words, but in a rasping breath inside his head. "Unravel the ink," it said. Panic clawed at him. In desperation, Dorian sought refuge at his local parlor, a nondescript place he used to scoff at, run by a no-name artist named Theo. He begged Theo to remove the ink, not the raven, but all of it. However, Theo's laser removal equipment failed. The ink didn't budge, didn't dull. It crept. The dragon curled further around Dorian's arm as if in protest. The skull laughed. The raven hissed from his neck. Fear consumed him, and he ran. Sleep eluded him. His nights plunged into an abyss where his tattoos haunted his dreams. The dragon scorched villages, its fiery maw glistening with endless hunger. The raven led him down corridors of shadow, where unseen horrors whispered his name. And the runes. Oh, the runes sang a discordant melody, chanting ancient words he could neither comprehend nor escape. But it wasn't until the mirror cracked that he finally understood the depth of his plight. The skull on his chest smiled fully, yes, fully, and spoke aloud. "Your body is ink. Your soul is payment." He felt the tug beneath his skin then. The tattoos weren't on him. They were of him. They were bleeding into his very essence, consuming him in ways far beyond his wildest imagination. In his despair, Dorian tried returning to the source. He went back to Mayron's cryptic studio, now shrouded darker than ever before. The glow of her candles seemed sharper, and the once unplaceable smell now made his stomach churn. Mayron was waiting, her narrow, cat-like eyes piercing through the room as though she had been expecting him. "Well," she said, fingers clasping as her lips barely parted in a sly grin. You finally understand. Explain it, he demanded, his voice strained over the crackling doom in his chest. The raven screeched but stayed silent. Meron explained simply. Every tattoo I give is a pact, a loan of power, or a sentence. And you, Dorian Weaver. Her smile widened devilishly. You owed far more than you realized. In his rage, in his terror, he lunged at her, but pain lashed through his body. The tattoos overlapped, tangled, thrashing against his skin as though alive. And let me whisper this, dear viewer. Perhaps they were. The skull on his chest grew until it blanketed his torso. The dragon devoured his arm in a coiling twist, and the raven tore its way up, up, up into his ear, whispering secrets only Meron could decode. And then, silence. When Dorian opened his eyes, if you could call them such, he was no longer a man. He was art. His tattoos bled off his skin, into the air, into the world. He was neither alive nor painting. He was an echo. A shadow of ink floating just beneath reality's surface, whispering warnings to the next victim who might sit beneath Meron's needle. As for Meron, her cryptic studio still stands, candles and symbols glowing faintly, a haven for those yearning for art touched by the arcane. But beware, darling listener. Next time you seek to carve the stories of your life onto your skin, consider this. Who really wields the needle? And what price does their ink demand? Remember, the deepest stories linger not on the skin, but beneath it. This has been another chapter from Echoes of the Dark, where storytelling and shadows intertwine. Sweet dreams, and let's hope they remain unmarked.